Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Duly Noted. This is a very cool and exciting episode for me, personally. We have a very special guest here, the one and only Garrett Lovell. Woo!
Yay.
For those of you that don't know Garrett, he is one of my absolute best friends. We met in college, befriended through the band at Missouri Western.
Lots of good experiences with that.
Oh gosh, I got to remember. Yeah, got to be careful of what I say here because he's got a lot of stories.
I'm just surprised you can remember half of them.
Rude. But no, Garrett and I, we go way back. A lot of just adventures in general, a lot of car rides. We were in a music fraternity together, so lots of more core memories there coming back and flooding back. So, but it's been several years since we've known each other, and we play a lot of Magic and other games and various other things.
Whoa.
I know, it's crazy. But we're going to just kind of talk a little bit. And before we get started too much, I want the world to get to know you a little bit because you're new to the channel. So not a lot of people are going to know who you are, what things you like. So give us a little background on who Garrett is. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Garrett is up until recently, a very closeted nerd. I'm from a family with way too many boys to count, and all of them were athletes, and so they were all like super well built, like strong guys, and then here I am. I'm like, I'm gonna have another piece of candy, and I'm gonna go doodle this stuff. But I've always been like an artistic kid growing up, very much into a lot of the nerdy stuff, quote unquote, growing up. But what I think is funny is that nowadays it's like, oh, hey, that stuff's actually kind of cool because we're now
absolutely
like capable of actually expressing ourselves. I'm sure it's nice having a place where you can have all the Star Wars stuff that you want, all the Zelda stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
I got a Triforce candle in my bathroom, and I am proud to admit that. For those rough times.
I mean, you've seen my bathroom. I've got Space Jesus in there.
You have a guest book in your bathroom, though.
That is courtesy of my my sister from Christmas, actually.
And
it's already got a few entries from a few people, which is funny. Bathroom guest books. If you don't have one, you should get one. They're quite hilarious. Garrett, I forced him to sign it the last time he was over.
I will say, one of the toughest parts about that, though, is if you're just going in there to do a number one, there's a lot of like stuff that you have to make up. Luckily, I'm really good at making stuff up, and that's even when I'm like not coherent. So I'm just really good at that. But yeah, if you're going in there for a number one, you might spend a little more time in there. People might think you're doing a number two, but you're just being a courteous guest and filling out that guest book.
Okay.
So yeah, Triforce candle in the bathroom. So I've been into video games. I really got into, believe it or not, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh first.
I never told you this, but that was my first TCG. My very first.
You're having those recollections when we bought those small sleeves too.
So funny story. So it's Yu-Gi-Oh. I actually bought I had a job whenever I was like 14. I started as a dishwasher for a restaurant, and they paid me like under the table. So that way they didn't have to make.
It's funny because it's a restaurant because it's under the.
But
those weren't wet dollars, were they?
Oh. I hope not. But
you would probably know.
Yeah. Well, they paid me under the table because I was underage, and they didn't want to have to report what they were paying or anything. So yeah, I made I think $3 an hour as a teenager, and I wasn't a busser. Like I had an hourly job. So, but the few things that I ever spent my money on, it was Mountain Dew, Reese's, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And so with that money, I was able to get every single main character's deck. So I had Yugi's, I had Kaiba's, I had Joey's, I had Pegasus. And the funny thing was, I made like one mega deck. And that I would play like with my brothers and sisters. and I would destroy them, like absolutely destroy them, and they never wanted to play with me. I wonder why, but
It's like a, you know, early commander player. That's
yeah,
how you
right,
know. You
yeah.
just got like, I'll put all of my cards into one deck. You might need a few pots of greed in there though.
Play Pot of
Wait,
Greed.
wait a second. What do those cards do?
Pot of Greed. I think you draw cards.
How many though?
I think it's 3.
It's a meme, Tom.
Oh,
There's like a YouTube video. It's called Pot of Greed, or it's like, what does Pot of Greed do? And it's them like going through the series where it's like, I play Pot of Greed. It allows me to draw 2 cards.
oh yeah, that's what it is.
And then it's just like,
And then
so
he plays it again,
it's a
and- yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh meme,
Yes,
and I haven't
yes.
even been part of the community or anything like that, but I love that video because repetitive, stupid humor is unfortunately my weakness.
Well, and now it's funny because like screaming Exodia is like
We're not going to have that conversation again. There was this episode. I don't know exactly what the card did, but it was called Exodia Negros.
oh, it's when he comes back. Yeah.
He comes back from the dead, and
yeah,
he has
yeah.
ash-colored skin and red eyes, and I think he's supposed to be a zombie. But there were a few things that were just like controversial about
Yeah.
that. Japan is not necessarily the most like, at least like if you watch a lot of the earlier animes from like the 90s, like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, the censorship there is a little different than ours.
Well, and I mean, but
It's not like bad, or it's just different.
it's just different. Well, and some people they make like a giant hill out of nothing. Like I remember when within the last year they went after Crayola. Do you remember that?
No, this is new to me.
Well, they went after Crayola because the Black Crown, they put the Spanish translations. And so the black
Oh, they didn't have like the Swahili or anything like that.
no, they had the English, and then underneath it they had the Spanish.
Negro, which is
Yeah. So people were like, "Wow,
They were
guys,
misreading
really? I can't believe that they're so insensitive to put this on." And they're like, "That's the Spanish translation.
it's literally the Spanish translation.
Yeah." So people were making this huge mountain out of a molehill, and so I mean,
No.
people. I know it's really crazy. People
Never.
being the internet taking offense to something,
Oh,
but
I'm offended at people getting offended at that.
I'm offended that you're offended at people getting offended.
There's all this, but no offense.
Yeah, right.
No offense. So,
Yeah. Anyway, continue. Your first passion for card games was Yu-Gi-Oh.
well, actually, so I just thought of this too, because it's ironically enough, so we had talked about this earlier, because, you know, believe it or not, I actually enjoy spending time with Tom. Haven't gotten a lot of time in recently, but we're getting that in.
Catching up, yeah.
Especially when I tell people I was on a leather couch with him tonight.
oh gosh, my mom listens to this, so
Your son is a wonderful boy. He is a wonderful father, and all of his kids are amazing. And everybody,
it's okay.
Everybody loves
Everyone
Tom.
knows you're my secret boyfriend, Garrett.
I mean, I am comfortable enough to admit that. Some people aren't. So I almost had like a flashback talking with the Yu-Gi-Oh thing. I was like, wait a second, no. Yu-Gi-Oh was like my more like first experience of knowing how to play a card game.
Well, and truth be told, I don't. It's been so many years, I don't remember the basic concepts of it. Like
you don't remember what Pot of Greed is, so I
I
would be
don't.
surprised.
Well, I just remember.
what
I
it
can't remember
does.
with the stars, like where the breakdown was with the stars.
Yeah, it's like you had to sacrifice of like, I think it was like 6.
I don't
7.
remember. It's past me. It's been so many years.
Yeah. Now if I think of sacrifice, I'm thinking like aristocrats and death triggers, and because I'm a nasty, naughty Golgari player.
So what Garrett's talking about, we're probably going to dive into that here in a little bit, but we have an infatuation for Magic the Gathering. We've long since played. I think I was introduced to the game, I think 2008 or 2009 is when I first started playing. I got super excited. Yeah, because I want to say it was like M9, maybe even M10. Scars of Mirrodin. Scars of Mirrodin was my first set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Zendikar was mine, and because it was like, it took almost a year of being at Mo West before people finally got me into Magic, because unfortunately Jenkins was the one that had to teach me first.
Oh gosh.
And this is after he spent like, hundreds of dollars on like 3 or 4 fat packs
Oh
of
yeah.
new Phyrexia. But anyway, so more about that like eventually, but
Yeah.
my first actual trading card game passion, I didn't even think about this. I'm an idiot for that, but Pokemon, the trading card game.
Oh yeah.
Like the classic 90s kid experience of trading Pokemon cards on the playground before they got banned from the playground. Like people would actually get into fistfights. They're like, "This isn't one of those shadowless Machops. I'm gonna punch you in the face."
But it's so funny because the culture of like kids, just black market dealing things, it's changed so much over the years. And Pokemon cards, kids still talk about Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's still all the time. Funny enough, one of the biggest thing that kids do like the black market dealing with now, what would you think is one of the hot things that they do nowadays? It might surprise you.
Well,
It's not a trading card.
oh,
I will let you know that now. Although they still do Pokemon. Pokemon's still pretty regular. But there's one thing that they will literally, like, kids will get suspended because they get caught with these. Or
vapes.
trading and doing, like, literally giving each other money for these.
Vapes.
Not vapes. Although that would be an odd thing to, see a third grader with.
Well, not a third grader, but I mean, like, I have seen some things, but yeah, like
So the thing that I'm talking about, Logan Paul's Prime bottles. Yeah, it's very sad to hear that.
bottles.
Yeah, the bottles, because there's so many of them, kids collect them, and their parents won't let them buy them. So the kids that are allowed to buy them, they'll go and they'll sell them and trade them for other goods.
Dude, what is this, like Fallout?
It's so weird,
Like
dude.
it's like bottle caps are like the currency of Fallout.
Yep.
It's like we're having Fallout without the nuclear holocaust yet. Like it's so weird.
Yeah, we got to go live through all that.
I mean, if it's a nuclear thing, we probably
it'll
won't
come
live
before
through
too
that.
long, yeah.
Unless we got a vault coming up, which I don't know. I'd almost rather
Just let it go. Just ride the wave and like, see you guys. It was fun.
I turn and face my destiny. Be like, wait a second. Oh, I didn't get my phone. I can't video record this.
Oh, oh my gosh. So, is there anything else you want to dive in? Like you're talking about your childhood, growing up, and just things that you've enjoyed. Give us the audience a little bit more about you.
Sorry, I know I keep getting sidetracked.
No, it's fine, it's
ADHD, like acorn brain. But yeah, I was always like the nerdy one in my family. I taught my brother how to play Magic after I learned. So he's actually really into trading card games. So you were talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh decks and how you got everybody to get, or how you got everybody's decks from the show.
Yeah.
My mom, and this is something I'm still salty about my brother with. My mom bought me the dual decks like Kaiba and Yugi.
Oh yeah.
Like that thing was legit. And I mean, if you see some like how those are going right now, it's really interesting. Like how much of those like first generation Yu-Gi-Oh cards are going for.
Really?
And, oh yeah. Like the Blue Eyes White Dragon from that deck, just one of them is like I've seen it like go for like $36. That's like already more than probably what the actual package cost.
Yeah.
So, but my brother, he threw a fit because he wanted a deck, and he wasn't even into Yu-Gi-Oh. And my parents were like, my dad said, "Oh, well, your mom got you 2 decks, so you should give your brother one." I was like, No, I got in trouble. So, I've always been very protective over my cards, but I mean, I'm really giving about it, but. Yeah, I'm into Pokemon. I'm into like anything, just like the most random stuff. I've probably heard about it. Like Tom and I were actually quoting just this random movie.
One of the best movies
It is so
in
good.
existence.
It is so good. Like if anybody says that David Duchovny like has a very like just chill acting style, you actually get to see some emotion from him in this. And it's so good. Like, okay, so the movie is Evolution. It's made by some of the same team that made the original Ghostbusters movies.
Oh, is it really?
Yep. And then
I'm just going to push that a little closer to your face. It's a microphone.
yeah, just clarify. It's a microphone. So
Anyway,
the
Evolution.
Evolution. So 10 out of 10 recommend it. It's just a lot of people haven't really seen it. It didn't blow up as well as Ghostbusters did.
But I think in my opinion, it's so quotable. Good. There's so many good lines. There's so many good moments, and I remember watching it and Mazel tov. It's a boy. There's just so many good so many good lines, and it's all around alien evolution is what it's around. So it's so good. Yeah, it's so good. Go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. There are movies like that people sleep on.
Take the leg.
Take the leg. He thinks he's an athlete, Doc. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, Kaylin loves that movie.
One of my all-time favorite movies. Ginny had never heard of that movie before we started dating. Yeah, and I was like, how can you miss on such an iconic, and it's so quotable. The way that the graphic is like it's way it's made.
Unique, and how they made it like it was like the better way to do the Batman show. But I mean, Adam West is, God rest his soul, national treasure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the comic book style. I've seen it once. And Kaylin actually has like the Scott Pilgrim comics. Like she's like obsessed with them.
So, like the actual graphic novel?
Yeah,
oh yeah.
It's so, I mean, she'll tell me about it. And I'm like, Kaylin's my wife, by the way. I love her. She's
good people. She's awesome.
She is good people. I wouldn't trust anybody else to have my daughter. So, I'm lucky.
Which you have a very beautiful family. Garrett, how old is your newest addition?
So Charlie, she is about just over 3 months.
3 months. So we've got a fresh young baby Garrett.
Fresh from the bakery.
But she is, fresh out of the oven. But yeah, Charlie, she's so sweet and so tiny, and she is like literally just a snuggle bug. I mean, we've only like seen her a handful of times, but
she farts like a trucker.
I believe that. We were talking earlier about our kids and their flatulence and like even bowel movements, if I dare say. And we're like, oh yeah, that checks out because you're their dad. And I was like, yeah, that sounds right.
See, but for my case, it's looking at her mother.
Oh,
for that.
You're throwing Kaylin under the bus.
Oh, Kaylin will throw herself under the bus about that. She's like. One of our literally the second time we were hanging out. So we're like a classic Tinder success story. And so the second time we were hanging out, I went to get up to go get something, and all of a sudden, like, there was this really loud barking spider. And I said, well, at least we're past that barrier. And I'm now married to her. We've been together for 6 years, actually. 6 years. 2018. So
that is very similar to Jennifer and I's first date. We went and saw, I think it was like Infinity War was the first thing, but so we had kind of like been talking through like Snapchat a little bit, and we decided we were going to go on a date, and so I picked her up, and we had been talking about how she had this gluten intolerance. And so the first thing we talk about as soon as she gets in the car, and like we're on the way to the movie theater, I was like, so gluten intolerance, huh?
Oh, I've heard it's bad.
And so I said, so like, what does that mean? You just crap yourself basically? And she, I think she might be yelling in the background. But I said, so yeah, is that just you basically just crapping yourself basically? And she says, yeah, pretty much.
Oh man!
And then that was the first sentence of our date, and we never went back. Like there's just just like, okay, we're able to just comfortably talk to each other.
Once she tells you about her bowel movements, you know that
you're like, yeah, that's the comfort level right there.
So
this is already
trading cards.
Yeah. Well, okay. So going back to and actually this kind of segues into something I wanted to talk to you about. We were talking about movies and like things we watch and like sleeping on shows and or just like there's like such underwhelming or like overwhelming, just amazing success things out there. And so one of the other guys on the podcast, we actually talked about a specific show, but he was never involved with the product that created it. So it was interesting to take see his interest in the show. So curious to what your thoughts are. Have you seen Arcane, and what did you think about it?
Oh, absolutely. Arcane's probably the best part about League of Legends, and it's not even like League of Legends. So, yeah, Arcane, 10 out of 10, recommend it. Character development is amazing. Um, I've never had any kind of attraction to video game characters, but the way that they animated Vi, just her personality
Oh yeah.
and her toughness, I'm like, I would totally let her step on my throat. Punch me, please. But
Well, I mean,
like,
it's such a good show.
it's so compelling. Like,
It's the storytelling, the animation style.
that's the best.
It's so crazy.
Did you see the trailer for season 2?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I am so ready. Well, and like if you go back, and which I've watched season 1, oh gosh, how many times have I watched it now? I've watched it probably at least 5 or 6 times at least.
There's always like 1 or 2 episodes I try to avoid because it's so hard to sit through.
It gets you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, and so the kid that or I say the kid, Nick was our one of our other hosts. We started talking about it, and just the way that they talk about the animation style, how they tried to create a 3D image in a 2D space. And it's like, it's just such a cool concept, and how they had this company come in. And for me, which I haven't said this on the air yet, but I'm a huge, obviously, League of Legends fan, and Vi and Jinx's story was by far my most favorite out of all of them. Well, and like even the lore on the video game, like you just like, I just remember reading it and immediately was like, oh, this is like, these are my favorite characters right now, and even so much so that I wrote a song for my senior recital based on, I don't know if you knew
No
that
way. I had no idea.
Yeah, so if you go, there's a song on my senior recital that I wrote called Vi-Tality, and it's spelled Vi-Tality, and then in the description of the song, it says some people say that Vi stands for violence.
Yep.
Well, and I said I think it stands for vitality, and so it was a jazz piece that I wrote based off of the video game. So there were 2 original songs that I wrote. One was about League of Legends, and one was about Digimon. Of all things, yeah. And so the Digimon, or it was called Digital Monster, is what it was called. And the very end of the song, it went do 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 do. So it played the theme at the end of the song.
Wait,
So
the theme from what?
yeah, right.
What? That sounds familiar.
Wait, now, did you ever watch like Digimon?
I never watched Digimon extensively. I did. Like, I'm aware of the IP and everything, and Digimon actually had a revamp on their trading card game. Like their trading card game actually, it was like selling like candy a few years ago. Like,
Oh,
everybody,
really?
Oh yeah, everybody was going for Digimon.
I just remember like in 5th grade, I watched it every week. And when you're in elementary school, you get these like euphoric like highs from just like watching and experiencing things. And at the time, I wasn't really like, Pokemon existed, and which, I mean, Pokemon is the far more dominant like
Oh yeah.
form. But in that time when I was in elementary school, I remember just loving the storyline, loving the characters, loving the creatures and stuff like that. And I was like, oh man, I absolutely love this show, and just diving in. But as I grow older, I had this resurgence of like coming across it again. And I was like, what? This still exists to where I can like go back and watch it. So I got back in like towards my senior year of college. I started going back in and watching it. And then as I went back and watched it, I remember liking it. But I liked it way more as a kid than I did as an adult, because it wasn't the same as an adult.
Well, so I actually went back to watching Digimon. It was like a couple years ago, and it sucks because watching that with like a scientific mindset, I'm really logical about a lot of stuff, really passionate. It's kind of a weird.
You like the evolutions from Pokemon, not the I can go up and go down.
Not even that. It's just the evolutions in Pokemon make reasonable sense. Like, you have a pile of sludge that turns into a bigger pile of sludge, or a turtle turns into
Bigger turtle.
bigger turtle that turns into a really big turtle with cannons on its back. Digimon.
Yeah. It took a different.
Digimon, it's like a little like ball that turns into like a cat, then a walrus, then a wolf with shotguns on its back and missile launchers, and then anime protagonist.
Well, and all the names are like crazy hard to remember.
It's like Angel Devil, Vienamon.
Well, close. Yeah, yeah. Well, and the one thing I will say, the one thing I liked about, and this was retrospective, I might feel a little differently now, but I really liked how all of their names ended with Mon. So you had Agumon that turned into Greymon, that turned into Ultimate Greymon, that turned into Mega War Greymon, that turned into the Omnimon. So it was just a bunch of which all of the names also didn't make a lot of sense. So, but but no, it was an interesting show. I personally enjoyed it.
It wasn't bad or anything. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore now. It's sad.
But not to go keep going down the rabbit hole, but going back to Arcane, I thought that was probably one of the best adaptations of a video game, and I mean truly the best just storytelling I've ever seen from a recreation of a video game. So even like Sonic, Mario. I mean, there's a few of those games out there, or a few movies that are out there. I feel like they just scratched the surface of those.
Oh yeah.
Well, Arcane, it's really opening the characters and letting that development just kind of breathe a little bit. So I don't know. I think I'm excited for what the future of that holds. I hate that it's so long between seasons, because that was 2022.
Yeah.
Or 20, maybe was it 21 or was it 22?
Oh, I think it was.
It'll be at least
21 or 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can kind of go a little more in depth compared to one of the movies, because the movies only have 2 hours to tell a story.
That's true.
Whereas that's only 2 episodes of a series, And I mean, Arcane, the way that they as you said, the animation is pretty. And what's funny is that, at least to my knowledge, I'm sure somebody will probably say something that contradicts it, but from my knowledge, the relationship between Jinx and Vi wasn't officially acknowledged by Riot until Arcane.
Really?
Yep.
I could have swore that they
remember hinted at it, but they never had anything that confirmed it.
Man, I could have swore reading the lore on them that I remember that, because I remember reading that Vi, not specifically on Vi's page, but on Jinx's page, because Vi came before Jinx technically.
Right.
So I remember reading on Vi's page that she was part of Piltover, that she worked with Jace and Caitlyn, and actually, I don't know if it hinted at a relationship with Caitlyn in the lore.
Nope.
But you're seeing hard glances of that in the.
I'd ship that.
No, 100%.
And I hope that Riot continues with
they're making
their track.
It feels like they're making a good swing towards it,
and which, again, Vi is probably just one of the best characters in the. And I think what's cool too, because you mentioned her lore. Originally with Arcane, they had it separated out between the two of them. Arcane was supposed to be in its own universe, but so it's whatever happened in there is just its own separate thing. But with Vi and Caitlyn, Vi's old lore was that she used to be a criminal, and then she joined up with Caitlyn.
Yeah, yep.
And they go fight crime together. But Arcane takes it and makes it so much more personal, so much more dark, and you can't disagree with some of the decisions that Vi makes that ultimately impact the entire trajectory of the series.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so from being the oldest sibling in my family, I've been where Vi was on a lot of that series. like you want to protect your other siblings, but I mean, there's only so much you can do, and you do blame yourself for some of the paths that they take because you might have said something that turned them off of that, or but it the series itself, it's so good.
Well, and it takes you and now we have two people that have actively played the game. I mean, I'm not active in the game anymore, but some people that have actively played the game, it's so crazy because all you ever see is a square map, and you play all those characters on the same map, so you never really get to dive into those stories and see the world. I mean, like just seeing those places within
Yeah.
that, like just Piltover just emerge, and see Jace's character develop that, and then we see the beginning stages of like Singed and Warwick, and like you're
Hasn't been confirmed yet.
oh yeah, I 100%. You want to talk about that, because we can talk about that.
Oh, we can talk about that.
Because there obviously we know that Singed was there. You knew that he was the doctor. Warwick is the one that's not confirmed. However, once what oh gosh, what's the dad's name?
I don't know, but he's my favorite character in the entire series.
Gosh, I want to say it's like Vander or
Vander.
Vander.
Yeah, I think it's Vander.
Vander, yeah. So after Vander dies, you see Singed. So yeah, so the way that they break this down, they kind of break it into almost two categories. Like you have the first 3 episodes that are them as kids basically, and then it fast forwards in the future, and then they're all grown up.
Not for that third episode.
The third episode is where it like
you're like, did they really go there? And then the episode continues, and you're like, oh, they went there.
Yeah, no, they went there. Absolutely went there. So once they get past that first 3 episodes, you know that spoiler alert, Vander, he doesn't make it somehow. But there is some hard clues and inklings that his character will become Warwick, because I don't know if you caught that or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that you hear Warwick's theme in like in the lab as he's looking at the wolf chained up on the wall. Yep. Like you can just hear it faintly in the background, and I think this is as like the series is ending almost.
Yeah. They kind of allude to that, and if they do, because I think there was something recently with Riot that they made Arcane's lore like the actual lore of the champions. Like it's kind of like I said earlier, they had separated out.
It's evolving, yeah.
And Warwick, for those who haven't played League of Legends, Warwick is kind of Riot Games' take on a werewolf. He's like, in his lore, he was just some nobody criminal that Singed. Singed he's a chemist, but he's like a mad doctor chemist that is known for committing like war crimes by using chemicals and just really, really bad stuff. He creates Warwick by just juicing up some random criminal that he got a hold of, and like part of the hand of this criminal fell off, so he replaced it. I mean, this is the most recent Warwick lore, I guess, like second most recent, if not including the Arcane stuff. But if they have ways of making these characters even more connected than they actually like are in the game, and I love Riot's lore department because they constantly are trying to make lore for their champions better. And Arcane was kind of like the next step. Like I used to hate Jace, and Jace is like this really cocky scientist who he's got like a mix of his hammer, like he has a hammer that turns into a gun, and like it's out there, but it's really cool in like on paper. But he's like, he has no personality other than he's like the generic good guy.
Yeah,
and
much.
They actually like flesh out his character. I still hate Jace after everything. I think he's a jerk.
You mean like after the show?
After the show, yeah.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Well, but see that it adds another layer.
Yeah,
you dive down.
I feel something for the character.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's still like discontent, and you're like, I still want to stab your eyes out. But it there's just more life to it.
Yeah,
there's a whole nother dimension of who these characters are. So it really. I mean, for the whole universe, it changes it, and it makes me really excited for like what's to come.
Oh my gosh.
So like I'm so yeah. So as soon as I mean, and they just recently within this last week, it's been 1 week or 2 weeks since they've announced season 2.
I think it's been just like a week, if that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but like even with that being announced, like I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. Like November can't get here soon enough.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm so excited for it. So
I have some good news too, because I don't know if you've heard the update. They're making the mom for what's her name?
Caitlin?
No, Jace's like girlfriend, the council girl. I can't remember her name.
Oh, the one chick. Wait, is she gonna be a champion?
The mom is.
Oh, I saw that.
The mom is
yeah,
like
the
one of my favorite
warlord
characters.
lady. Oh
She's-
my gosh.
I mean, I know. I probably got a hint of this when I was talking about Vi, but like, I'm not one to pursue women of a far greater age than myself. But if there were a woman that I would be okay with stepping on my throat, I would be sort of okay with her doing it, because I feel like if she actually did, she would kill me.
Oh gosh. Well, and I mean, you see from the show that character she's very aggressive. She knows what she wants and she gets what she wants.
Uh-huh. She
It's
got her boy toy. That's
Oh, yeah,
that's her relationship with him. Like just as like characters relationship, not like if there's like romance or anything involved. Just like their interactions are amazing.
It's oh my gosh, so good, so spot on. Well, and it's I'm excited for I'm excited for the future of Arcane, and now how they're tying the universes together. Because I mean, obviously, like League of Legends is Arcane, and Arcane is League of Legends. But now there's kind of been this gray cloud hovering over everything. Like, okay, what's what? Is this real? Is this the real story, or is this the real story?
Yeah.
And they're starting to meld them together.
It's so cohesive now. It's
yeah.
And I was hoping that because Riot. Like, I know that a lot of times they are overlooked for some of the good stuff that they have going for them. And legitimately, like, their IPs are one of the strongest IPs of any game that I've played. Like, their characters are so compelling. You can't...
Are you talking solely League, or are you talking all of Riot's games?
Well, I would say solely, like, League. Because, I mean, with Riot, they really only have one game that's... at least to my knowledge right now, like official, like, you know, part of the Riot client game that's not League of Legends associated, like
Valorant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only well, I mean, yeah, I was going to say all of the other IPs are they're spin-offs or branches of League of Legends. So you've got Song of Nunu. You've got
I've heard that was really good.
I want to get it because
the art looks amazing.
This looks like something that kids would just love. Which we have Hex Tech Mayhem. It's a rhythm game. It's like Guitar Hero, but on a controller, and including Ziggs. Like it's all about Ziggs.
So you would like that?
Yeah. So of course, yeah.
Like hot take, Nunu's reworked actually in Warwick's. Like, so Riot is really big about reworking their champions, and they've been doing it with their older champions. Nunu and Warwick were reworked within the last like 2 years, hands down. Some of the best reworks like they've had. Normally they're like there's takes that the reworks are a little strong or you know whatever, but I have legitimately, from playing both old Nunu and Warwick, I think that like those should be like prime examples.
Well, and
they're so good.
And let me just say that for those that are listening, a rework it consists of a complete character overhaul. So you still have the general concept of the character, but they update their visual look, they update their character stats, abilities, skills. They basically rework the champion to where it's entirely different. They change the lore oftentimes when they do the rework, which was a good time to do it because Arcane coming into the picture, which I mean, nothing's been officially, talked, but you can tell like they needed to do that anyway, re-update the lore, which I mean, they didn't have to update it a lot because it was still...
And I mean, if you look at Warwick's old lore, it was he tricked some goat lady into like giving him some extra bonus powers. Like the old lore was very interesting to read, but the new lore and even then like the newer lore with Arcane, just their Riot's writing team, like solid 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah,
hands down. Like just yeah.
So what? So kind of talking a little bit more into just a little bit longer, just diving into the league or the Arcane world. What is one of the places from League that you would like to see come to fruition in League? So we've already gotten Piltover, we've gotten a little bit of Noxus. What is some place that you want to see come into the limelight?
That's tough. For me,
and or champion. So a place and or champion.
So I would. For me, it's a big tie between Mount Targon if they were doing like an Arcane level like series for that, because so Mount Targon is it's a really tall mountain, obviously. Mountains tend to be tall, but the champions that come from that region are inspired by Greek mythology. And actually, one of the champions, Pantheon, who is one of the oldest champions in the game, was reworked. And
his was probably one of my most favorite reworks.
Oh, it was so good.
Yep, so good.
In Pantheon's case, they actually didn't have to like completely rewrite his story, like because Warwick they did. Because I mean, I don't know. I don't really find it interesting if he got his powers from some celestial goat lady. But like the Pantheon that is now in League of Legends, it used to be that he was this hero that climbed to the top of Mount Targon to like atone for like sins and things like that. But basically, when you climb to the top, if you don't die, because that's like one of the big things, it's treacherous. It's used as often more of a punishment rather than like a rite of passage. But Pantheon gets to the top, and he was known as Atreus at the time. He gets to the top here, and he gets the power of the celestial, basically like the god of war.
Yeah, I mean, really,
he becomes an avatar for the god of war. And what is funny too is that it's not really funny, but the god of war takes control of Pantheon compared to normal aspects. They're called aspects, but they're basically avatars of the different gods. And a lot of times, if you are greeted by an aspect, it's more of like a co-relationship, like you get their power, stuff like that. Pantheon got fully taken over by this war avatar, and he went to go fight a League's version of a kind of a demon, but not really. It's like a corrupted god. His name's Aatrox, another rework that's a hot topic on there for his rework. But
wait, Aatrox got a rework?
Yeah, Aatrox is now basically Riven Part 2.
Really? See, I used to play a ton of Aatrox, and
yeah, so basically he's like Riven, where you have to press Q multiple times, but instead of just like hip hopping around like Riven does, he has this big area of effect, and there's like a little tip that's darker, and if you hit somebody in the tip of that, just the tip, and this is gonna go bad. This is gonna go really bad. If you hit him with just the tip,
I'm so sorry, Mom.
If you get him with just the tip, it knocks him up.
Oh gosh!
But and it goes through different shapes and formations that you have to like get somebody into wherever the darker area is, so it does extra damage.
Okay, so I mean, does it still run off of like his blood level or whatever?
Kind of. He has like, so instead of every basic attack that would heal him, he like gets one big awesome attack every once in a while that heals him, does extra damage.
It sounds like I wouldn't like his rework.
I don't think you would. It's not. I have a special love for champions that don't have a whole lot of love. Kind of like with Nunu. Nunu was kind of a meme, and then I played him a lot. I did Nunu support.
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
and it was a meme, but now it's actually like I got to level 7 Nunu playing him support after the rework.
I would say, yeah, his ult's viable.
His ult's viable, and like he's got a knock up with his W now. He throws a snowball, like hurls a giant snowball that he pushes. Well, Willemp pushes. I have to address Willemp because he is his own person. It's Nunu and Willemp. That is the new name, but us veteran old guys call him Nunu because Nunu's actually the kid on the back of this Yeti that he befriends, and it's like, think of where the wild things are mixed with
an abominable snowman.
I was gonna go like Christmas Dreamland, but yeah, sure. Like that's what it is now.
Okay. Well, backtrack a little bit. So you were talking about what are some stories that we would potentially like to see come into the Arcane universe. So you're talking about Pantheon. Who any other champions or worlds that you would like to see? Well, I have a feeling because we've already have seen Heimdinger and Echo. We've already seen some of their lore. I feel that's going to get fleshed out, especially with Echo. If you have a feeling that's going to get more and more fleshed out, I would love to see some Yordles myself. I would just love to see the mayhem that like a Teemo or a Ziggs like bring into the world.
Yeah, Ziggs not really being an Arcane kind of bugged me.
Yeah, I'm just hoping because those are some of my well, and just like little devil Teemo, just out of nowhere.
Well, and I think if they were going to ever do like an IP of their world, and one that I would personally just really love to see would be the Freljord, because the Freljord has such good mythology, and Volibear is my favorite champion. For those of you who know, bears are my favorite animal.
Gare Bear.
And they turned Volibear into Volibear. It's a joke. He was like an armored bear, they won't let armored bears into League of Legends. It's the old meme, but they reworked him. Again, talking about the reworks, but Volibear rework, they turned him into like this buff daddy bear that's like he's doesn't have any armor. And he's got tattoos, and like he's just like this Norse like god of war that summons lightning, and it's so cool, and his theme is amazing.
I need to revisit Volibear.
Volibear, oh my gosh, like his rework. I know like it was probably more controversial than anything because I also really liked old Volibear, but I would take like Daddy Volibear over Patrick Warburton Volibear any day.
Oh man,
and
that's beautiful.
They could make a movie out of like just all the lore that's going on right now in the Freljord. So it's
there's
mythology.
Well, and one thing I will say about League of Legends, with starting esports recently, it's been kind of fun to like go through and visit these old loves. So like I downloaded a league on one of our esports computers and went back and started looking through all the champions and started looking through all the lore, and there has been so much happen since the last time, and it's been at least 2 years since I popped on. I think at least 2, if not more.
Yeah, and you've like it was cold turkey too. Like you haven't really been dabbling.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's been 2 years since I had logged on. So it's been longer than that since I've really played. But yeah, well, I looked and there was like, oh my gosh, I want to say like 8 to 10 new champions. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so many. But I looked at some of it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I would love this person. Like just looking at their play styles and stuff like that. Garrett and I had kind of talked about starting back up. I mean, you've been playing a little bit of League back up again.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to strong arm me to come back, and
do I look like the kind of guy that would strong arm? I mean,
strongly.
Worst I could do is threaten to sit on you, but even then, I think you might like that. So,
no, anything but that.
Oh, how dare you? How can I manage?
But no, yeah. So we're talking about potentially going back, and so the only downside to me, like being hesitant about it, is just I feel I told Garrett this. I just looking at it for the first time in so long, I feel like a fish out of water. It feels like there's so many new things, and I just feel so like.
Don't use that analogy because I've seen you play Fizz and it's awful. I think that was the last time I actually like fully played with you was when you were playing Fizz and went like 0-10 in lane.
Oh yeah, no, I was absolutely terrible with Fizz, which shouldn't be a thing.
Because he is a fish out of water.
Yeah, he is a fish out of water. Which he's a super easy to use champion. but apparently my special skills.
Fizz don't go burr. He's an ADC player. He plays marksman.
Yeah,
Plays
yeah,
Ezreal.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, my main roles that I like to do were like caster mages or ADCs. I did few.
You can play Ziggs bot lane too now. I don't know if you know
It's
that.
like support.
No, like
What?
yeah, Ziggs
No.
Ziggs bot. Okay, so I don't know if you know this. Like I don't want to like delay anything or whatever. But Ziggs bot. I don't know if you know about his update that he got. Ziggs W now. If a turret is at a certain level of health, you pop your W on it, it blows up the turret. Like you don't even have to.
Really?
Yes. So people were taking Ziggs bot lane as like an AP carry and
That
playing
is
him
ridiculous.
and it was super meta. And I mean, it's still like, you know, I'm always for like the off meta stuff, but I'd say he's still like pretty decent at doing that.
See, and I absolutely love Ziggs. He's like one of my favorite. You know, like one. I will say, going back to the potential things I'd like to see in Arcane, I would love to see Nasus just out of nowhere, just curb stomp some people.
I mean, like, I would say other than, like, lore-wise, other than Aurelion Sol, I would say Nasus is probably the strongest, like, lore-wise League of Legends character.
Yeah, I would love to see just so that, and you know what, I would love to even see, which they had kind of like they've kind of changed the lore of like Lux and Ezreal and some of those guys over the years.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind seeing some of them. Did we see any Ionian in Arcane? I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we did either. I mean,
Garen, Demacia.
Well, so they've turned Demacia into like almost a like a fascist state where they're like actively going after mages and imprisoning them.
Wow.
Like so back in the olden days of League of Legends, you had basically Demacia and Noxus, and then they would play a little board game with champions to avoid wars, and we were called summoners. But Noxus was just the generic bad guy, and Demacia was the good guy, and they did the justice thing, and blah, 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 blah. So Demacia is now this like fascist state that imprisons mages.
World War II called. They don't like that.
And it's like a monarchy, and just... Meanwhile, Noxus is like more of this industrialist nation that it's like a more diehard version of the American ideal, where it's like it doesn't matter where you come from, but if you work hard, you can achieve greatness. And I've always really liked Noxus since then. It kind of
I honestly I have loved Noxus solely for Draven and for Darius.
not Draven. Draven. Darius. Oh god.
Specifically
Juggernaut update.
Dunk Master Darius specifically. Does he still dunk?
He still dunks.
Okay, good. Because if he doesn't dunk, what's the point of Darius?
He dunks 1v5 and manages to get them all.
Clean the lane.
But when Swain got reworked, that's when they updated the Noxus lore. And they turned Swain into a Lucius Malfoy knockoff.
Isn't he like a general or something now? Or
yeah, so he's a general, and it was like a failed possession by a demon. Aurelia chopped his arm off. Yeah, Aurelia chopped his arm off, and he made a deal with a demon, and it tried to like possess him, and Swain's will was just that strong that it didn't work. So now he has control over, I think it's like a demon of like vision, so he can like see into like across the battlefield.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's cool. Like Swain's rework was really cool. Became kind of a menace in the competitive scene, but it was because of that I've really liked Noxus, and that's where the Dami Mommy from Arcane's from, and like I'm dead serious. Yeah,
yep.
Wherever she is,
he will follow.
Only if she tells me to.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll go get the leash.
Yes, Beyonce. Anything for you.
Anything for you, Beyonce.
But anyway, okay. So that's a passion that Garrett and I have had for many years. I'm really excited for season 2 of Arcane, just
Oh
because
yeah.
there's so many cool things. We have actually been talking for a while, so I wanted to go ahead and which I told you, which Garrett before we had started the thing, or he had texted me a little bit, and how he said he was. I don't know if you said you were nervous or a little bit or
Yeah, because I don't shut up. Like, I just don't.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's like it's good though to be able to talk and do this stuff. So thank you for being here for one. So I can just get to sit back and
Well,
relax.
thank you for having me.
And here's the thing. So if you guys like these nerdy conversations, Garrett might come back and we can make this a regular thing. We'll see if he wants to do that or not. But one of the big things that we wanted, or Garrett, this whole idea of Garrett coming on and talking about this, we wanted to dive down the nerdy rabbit hole a little bit. And one of our biggest passions has been Magic the Gathering, and it was one of the things that we bonded on over college, even out of college. I was telling Jenny how you used to come over and play till the wee hours of the night.
Literally like once a week.
Yeah, I mean, like when I say wee hours of the night, I mean we would play for hours and hours and hours, and I mean, and Magic was a huge thing, and it's kind of funny because when you're in, at least for our, it seems like our friend group or our just our clique, if you will, it always seemed that there was a new fad that kind of was developing. Like everybody was doing something all together at once. So before your time, it was poker. We would all come, and dude, Bob, he was so mad at us. He could tell, like when one of the trumpet players like came in a jazz band, just kind of slumped over because they were tired because we were playing poker till 3 a.m, and he'd be like, "You guys playing poker again?" And we just kind of like tipped our heads and like, "No, we wouldn't do that, Bob." But it's funny the transition of it. It started with poker, and then it went to Dota.
I should have played Dota.
Or maybe it was Dota first, then poker. I can't remember exactly, but it went Dota and poker were the first two while I was in college, and then Magic the Gathering came along, and then everyone was playing League. So those are kind of our big things. But even over the years, Garrett and I have always had a love for Magic and playing and. We used to play. Just to give you guys an idea of who, for those of you who aren't familiar with Magic the Gathering, it's a trading card game where you have two people with a life total, and your goal is to eliminate that person. So either by taking out their life or getting rid of their cards, or there's a few other ways that you can technically end the game or win. But yeah, there's lots of different cards that do a lot of different things, and it just makes the game really interesting. When we were in college, the most common format we played was called Standard, where we had
Just did the other classic like tabletop
yeah,
60
the
decks
60 card decks
with 4 soul rings.
4 soul rings and 20 life.
Because
Yeah, or 4 quicksilver amulets, and this is drop Eldrazi. Who did that? I don't know who did that. It was weird.
I started that trend.
Yeah, and then I immediately copied it because it worked. So there's a few different formats where you have different life, different totals. Then Garrett slowly got. I don't know if you slowly got into EDH or Commander, or where that kind of twitched and changed, but then you started getting me into Commander, and now that's the primary format that I play now because of you, which I think that's probably been a change within the last like 2 years probably, because I had played solely Standard up until that.
Yeah, it used to be that, like, because I think a lot of the folks on campus started playing Commander, and so I kind of forced myself to get into it, and because I used to play with a mutual friend of ours, Garrett Jones, and he switched all of his decks to Commander decks because his friend group started switching. Because the Commander takeover happened, and now it's like the premier format of Wizards. Yeah. So I was building. I still didn't understand it at the time, but yeah, I started getting into it, and it's been a nice time with Magic. I actually used to hate it, and probably because the person that taught me it, as much as I love him, was not a good teacher for Magic. And it's a hard game to learn. Like, I think it recently was noted, I can't remember by whom, but it was noted as one of the more, like, the most difficult games to play.
Well, there's so many different mechanics and so many different play styles, and I mean, honestly, there's some things like every time you come over and you play, and there's like the mechanic that I don't see, I'll ask you about it. And I like to think of myself as a good-ish teacher as far as like the terms of Magic, because I've got like youth students that are learning to play and trying to teach them in a format to where they like, you know, like not go in and just obliterate them to where they'll never want to play the game again, but like be like,
Unless
okay,
they cheat.
Yeah, unless they cheat. Yeah, and then you gotta teach those dumb kids.
I would never do that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, just trying to get in. I mean, even like William, my son, he's gotten into it really the last year. So, you know, and for me, I'm in like a unique position because I work with kids regularly. So you know, seeing this next generation come up, it's kind of fun to instill upon them like all of the things that I would have wanted as a kid and like do it for them. So it's kind of
being supportive of your kids' hobbies and interests.
Yeah, it's
I didn't have that.
I don't. I mean, like my family, they loved and supported me, but you know, the generation around, and it's so funny. Like, this is one of the hardest things that I think the older generation, trying to get them to comprehend video games.
My jacket, by the way, not my zipper.
I mean, whoa, Garrett, calm down, whoa, buddy. Save that for after the podcast. But anyway, I think it's so funny. Just starting esports and seeing the different generations, because I remember my parents, or my mom, she loved getting us video games, but she was really upset when we would play too much. And you're like, you don't want to spend all day, like, you know, go outside, do this. And that generation before her is even more so that way.
Oh, yeah.
And so they just like, oh, you guys need to stop doing that. But now the world has changed. All those kids that grew up with video games, you're seeing a new culture shift with people come through and they're making a living off of this. I mean, I took kids to, and this is kind of sidetracking from Magic, but I took kids to a camp at CMU in Fayette this last summer.
Oh, sweet.
And they've got a whole esports program.
Oh, nice.
And so we went and let them play on the machines there. I got to talk and meet and just, you know, get to know the coach a little bit while I was there. And just talking about it, and I said, "Yeah, so do you guys offer scholarships for esports?" Like, you know, because here's the thing. So no, there's more to the story.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So I start talking to him, and he says, "Oh yeah, we can give scholarships out, you know, just all the time." But he looks at me and he says, "But I'm going to be real honest. Almost none of my kids need the scholarship." He said they just came to college just for them to have something to do. He said most of my kids. He said they have a monthly income of $20,000 to $50,000 from streaming and playing games.
Wow.
And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And you know, like going back and thinking, all those people that said, you know, you can't spend your life playing video games. You're not going to make any money doing that.
That's the classic 90s kid speech that we got.
Yeah, and now it's just like they're making more than doctors and celebrities. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so much money. And I mean, honestly, if I had ever gotten to a place where I made that kind of money.
It's like an athlete, yeah.
Oh, well, it's insane. Well, that much money, 2 years I would retire. 2 years I'd put money away. I'd go and just live my life and travel the world with my kids and do fun stuff. And I mean, that's just so much, and it's insane. So the older generations, if you guys ever listen to this, if you are say Gen X or older, not necessarily Gen X, but definitely Boomer or older, it's a new world. It is a new world. These kids are going to make money in ways that we never even saw fit, and I want to be able to grab some of that on the way out. But isn't that crazy though?
Oh, I love it. Like, it's because it's kind of like what I was saying like earlier, where the outlook on video games and like the nerdy stuff, like when we were kids, it was like socially shunned. Like, unless it was like mainstream, like, you know, Pokemon cards or whatever. But you know, it's funny. Like, you get into Pokemon in elementary school, then like middle school and high school when you're a teenager, and then like that's when people start becoming, I don't want to say like influenced by their family environments
Oh,
to like
for sure.
to dislike that stuff. But that's when you stop. At least when I noticed, a lot of folks around me stopped playing Pokemon or like doing nerdy, so-called nerdy stuff. And then when you get to college and you find out, hey, I can be myself and embrace the nerdy. Everybody's playing Pokemon. Everybody's playing Magic.
It's a pop culture. I
And
mean, it's funny, this culture shift has completely changed. I mean,
yeah,
it's the not cool kids are the cool kids now.
I know.
And it's wild to see that change. Well, and there was a band I used to listen to. Oh gosh, I cannot remember their name for the life of me. But they wrote a song and it was called "Nerds Will Inherit the Earth." And
I've heard that. I don't remember who sings it, but
yeah, I don't
I've
remember
heard
who it is, but I mean, I believe that this whole new world. I mean, social media is so prevalent now. I mean, like you can say one thing on the internet and go viral and be a millionaire TikToker the next day. So, I mean, it's crazy the way that
You can host a podcast where people listen to you talk about.
yeah, if you guys can like help us, make a few $1,000,000, that'd be great. Garrett really, he needs to put Charlie through college and retirement.
I'm not the one with 3 kids.
I don't know what he's talking about.
No, I'll just have Charlie get a gaming scholarship. That's fine.
Yeah, right. But I told William, I said, man, if you ever want to go stream and you make bucks, I mean, just like you make a quick, $1,000,000, just throw me like 100K or something. Like I'm just because you love me,
Remember that time I bought you that commander deck?
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. This is called rent money. Get back here. No. But no, I mean it's really cool to have this this new found I don't want to say validation.
No,
But
I think that's the right word
it
for
feels. I would say it feels like there's this validation. Just all the things that we loved as kids are now things that the world sees as relevant. And it's just really cool. So anyway, okay, so we're wrapping up here. Yeah, that's it. I want to continue down the magic rabbit hole just a little bit, just so because Garrett and I have a huge. I mean, we've kind of circled around it for a while, but just tell you what is something, and magic's been around for a really long time. So there's a lot of things that have happened over the last 20, 30 years of Magic. There's a lot of new things that they're doing now. Just to get the conversation kind of wrapped up, what is something that you are excited about with Magic-wise over the next year?
So something I guess I would say I'm excited about is they've got. So I know with as far as like being heavily involved in like some of the drama around the community, I mean they've got complaints of product overload, and sure, but I like a decent flow of things. I like kind of being in that hype because I never really
Okay.
kind of going back to that validation thing. I don't have to like hide it anymore from where I was like in college or like high school. Couldn't actually like look at spoiler season stuff.
Oh yeah, yep.
So, but there's a set that they're coming out with here. I think it's either this year or the next year, and it's called Outlaws of Thunder Junction.
Oh yeah.
I am a sucker for Western Gothic, like kind of going back to League of Legends here. They have a High Noon skin set.
Oh yeah.
It's like Western Gothic, demons and cowboys and stuff like that. I'm a sucker for it. I lived out in Arizona for a while with my mom. Been to Tombstone, like huge sucker for Westerns. Not a fan of John Wayne. Sorry.
Howdy, Pilgrim.
Get off your horse and head on into the saloon there, cowboy. But Thunder Junction's supposed to be like a quote-unquote villain-oriented set.
Yep.
And Magic, they're villains most of the time. Usually the minor villains tend to have the best personalities. And a lot of the characters that are going to be in this they've been kind of sidelined. So I'm excited to kind of see how Magic does Western.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's that. I also kind of want to see how, like, more of the remastered sets. Like, they just came out with Ravnica remastered.
Which Garrett and I know you were a big guild guy. The Ravnica guilds were probably one of my favorite sets Absolutely one of my favorite sets. I loved Selesnya, Golgari. Those were probably my favorite two. I did have a Rakdos deck as well. I did remake a Populate deck in there.
Oh,
So
good. I'm proud of you.
so it's yeah, I told him, and he added me to a friend Magic group chat recently, and we were talking about this new set, and some of it was like a little underwhelming, and I said, hashtag make Populate great again or something like
And
that.
Trevor seconded it, and I was like, no, no.
Oh, but
It gets gross.
it does
if you
get very
really
gross.
do populate.
But I mean, I really do enjoy that set. So I did look at the set and I saw it coming back. So I'm excited to see the guilds come back. That being said, the things that they've re-released haven't been really exciting for me. It is what it is. I'm happy to jump back into it and like play those guilds. But it's just, I don't know. It's like same, but different.
It's like Ravnica. Well, I think what is missing is that it's like Ravnica, but it's not focused on the guilds. Ravnica is like this big, huge city plane, like a world that is completely covered in cities, and there's 10 guilds in the city, and they're always fighting. So that's like little pretense. But the new set is about like solving a mystery of a string of murders.
Yeah, and which even those cards for the set that didn't goes out of that and ties into it, it
doesn't feel like Ravnica. It's like Ravnica without the guilds.
Well, it feels like a game of Clue. It's.
I mean, they are making like a Clue Magic the Gathering product.
Is it coming out of this Murders of?
It's like a side piece
of that
kind of. Yeah.
Well, because the way that they I don't know if they leaked it or if they've officially released the cards, but I just looked at it and I was like, that's just I'm like okay, the artwork's different, the mechanics, they're a little different. So I mean, I'm not in love with it.
I'm not itching for it. Like Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Oh my gosh,
good
amazing set.
Very good
amazing set. That was probably my favorite set of the whole last year.
Yes,
2023
so
favorite set. Which a lot of the last few years I've fallen out of like keeping up with the newer sets and stuff like that. Talking about
it's okay. They keep visiting the same 4 planes over and over again anyway. Yeah, you're not missing much.
But now they have all of these universe beyonds.
Yeah,
and so you're talking about being a little overwhelmed. For me, it's I guess it seems like a lot they're doing now. They're going down all these different rabbit holes, but it's to get more people involved that like those that wouldn't have necessarily. Because now they had the Doctor Who universe. Jenny got super excited. I went and surprised her with a Doctor Who commander deck, and granted, it's a very difficult skill cap to use.
It's most of the decks were like that, and the cards were very, very. Like, I don't want to say wordy sounds like a bad way to.
I would say no,
but they are very wordy.
It can be, which can be very confusing, especially for
a new
someone
player.
that's a newer player.
They're not new player friendly.
Yeah,
at least the timey-wimey one isn't.
Yeah, I understand like why they're making all these new sets, like the Fallout one or the Final Fantasy one. I understand why they're making them. It seems like a lot for someone who kind of enjoys those things in those games that's been not like uber passionate about them. Like, oh, Final Fantasy, that's cool. Like, oh, but like there's so many different sets that are coming out. Granted, I don't have to, invest in those. I don't have to, put my brain around it.
But other people will.
So then I'll have to familiarize myself.
You gotta bring yourself to the table. And you have games where it's, and this is like a rabbit hole in of itself that I'm not going to go down. But like, this upcoming year, they have probably just as much, if not more, Universes Beyond products than they do their own actual IP.
They do.
And Magic it's like League, where it has a really good story if you actually read into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's had its shortcomings, sure, every once in a while. But
there's somewhere it's like really, they give some really weird things.
If they do anytime they try to like copy the Avengers, it doesn't end well, and they've done it twice now. So anytime other than that, though, like the
did you ever get any of the Transformers decks?
Well, so they had, I know for the Brothers War they had those like special Transformers cards. I didn't get any of them.
One of my youth students got them, and it's such a weird they were so proud of them. It was weird.
I'm down for that. Like, you can embrace the game however you want, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel because I love Optimus Prime. He's like one of my favorite heroes growing up. Just knowing what to do, and I mean, voiced by the same guy that does the voice of Eeyore. Like, just
Oh yeah.
but when your card is Optimus Prime Hero, like his title is Hero. Come on, can't you just say like Optimus Prime, Autobot, like leader even? But
Yeah. Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there's
Megatron villain.
There's so
Or tyrant, my bad.
Yeah. Well, but that's what I'm saying. There's so much now, and it's hard to digest some of it, especially for someone that, I mean, I love Magic, but there's just so many with the Universe Beyond stuff. It's just too much for me at times.
Yeah.
That being said, the Secret Layer stuff.
Oh, I love the Secret
Freaking love the Secret Layer stuff. They've got a new set. I'm probably going to buy it. It's Raining Cats and Dogs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm probably going to buy
deck.
that. Well, mostly because I've got the old Secret Layer, the OMG Kittens.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna probably put those two together, and I'll probably realistically make it mostly a cat deck is what I'll make it.
Yeah.
Because like most of the dogs they're easily removable.
And they're okay.
Yeah, but I mean, even then,
it's all about the kids.
Yeah, it's all about the cats. So the great thing about Magic the Gathering is there's so many different play styles, so many different characters. There's a lot of things that they call are like tribal decks, meaning that
Typal. They've rephrased it to Typal now.
It's not tribal anymore?
Nope.
What? Since when?
It was like within the last year. They changed it because tribal could be seen as offensive to some of like
indigenous or
just like different societies, that it could be seen as an offensive term.
Okay,
which I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's kind of hard for me to like say typal as well.
Okay, so typal is the new,
because it's creature types.
Yeah, typal. So that's interesting. I didn't know that. Learned just something right here on the podcast right there.
You know,
knowledge is power. But there's so many different types of creatures and play styles. I mean, like literally angels, zombies, vampires, squirrels. I'm gonna be making a kitten cat deck. Like there's so many. My Little Pony. They made a My Little Pony.
But those ones are illegal. Like, you can't play those.
What?
That was before Universes Beyond, or like, so the My Little Pony cards.
Oh, they're broken. They're so broken.
They have silver borders, so you can't like. I mean, you can
legally play them.
In Commander, it's more of like that Rule 0 option, but for tournament play, they're not legal.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, and they're kind of ridiculous because it's like you can play any card with a smile for free or something like that.
But Jeff Goldblum is legal.
Oh man, that's so good.
In multiple ways.
Yeah. Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
Clever girl.
I quote that all the time and nobody knows what I'm talking about.
It's
sad. I know.
Really?
I know.
That's like one of the most quotable lines from Jurassic Park.
You mean hold on to your butts, isn't?
Oh man. Well, this has been fun. So we will definitely have to dive down the rabbit hole some more because we barely scratched the surface when it comes to like Magic, and there's going to be so many more things that we could talk about. But yeah, so hopefully we can do this again soon. We're probably going to go play some Magic after this, so it'll be kind of like a family fun thing. Every time Garrett usually comes over, he usually brings his family with him, so his wife Kaylin and their new baby Charlie, so we'll often have dinner and play some games and have some fun. So that's probably what we're going to do after this. So
Ginny makes good food.
Ginny does make very good food. I'm a little biased, can't complain. But any parting wisdom or knowledge before we head off on the air, Mr. Garrett?
If you put a ball in your mouth and it is too big, it is probably not your ball.
True words have never been spoken right there.
Or barked.
All right, well, this has been fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. This was, and actually the last couple of episodes, one of our other hosts, Tim, I feel bad for Tim. The last two episodes that we have recorded, me and the other host, we had technological issues. So we we weren't able to post our last 2 episodes
Oh,
due
no.
to due to having my computer basically had just kind of crapped out. So luckily we've got some nice newer equipment now. Everything seems to be running smoothly. So expect more episodes coming out in the future. So if you guys like what you hear, like what you see, if you see this on TikTok, share the heck out of it. We want to be famous.
If I'd like what I see here, but
You know what? If there's
my
any
wife
way,
would.
yeah.
Caitlin, if you ever get a chance to watch this, share your hubby.
But no, like for real, if you guys like what you hear, like what you see, share it around, because one day if this is a poppin' show and we're a poppin' podcast and we can make bajillions of dollars to where we can just go and retire and do whatever.
You mean who could actually afford Magic's 30th anniversary edition?
Yeah. So anything that you guys can do to help support us, or anything that we can do to help support you guys in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. This episode is going to be on Spotify, Apple Music, the YouTubes, anywhere. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all those good places. We love to see it. We have consistently getting more and more viewers, more and more listeners. So it's kind of cool just to dive down the rabbit hole and do different things, talk about nerdy stuff, talk about life, revisit college memories, both good and bad, mostly questionable. But
Some of them were surprised to remember. But
oh man, before we even started, he said something, and I was like, oh man, I had almost erased that from my memory. But so thank you guys for listening. We will hopefully catch you guys here in the future. Wherever you are, stay healthy, stay safe, and have a great time. Farewell, friends.
Bye-bye.